replying. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's up now. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear me over? Anything? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Yeah, I can. You're going to have to share. Okay. So that's not good at all. It's because if I can't hear you, then we're not good. But I can. No, wait. You can hear me? I can't hear you. Sorry. Nothing. Share. Okay. Go into audio. Okay. Wow. Push mute. Mic auxiliary. Enable push. Click your OBS settings. Got it. Go into audio. Set your desktop audio device. Got it. Hold on. This is getting really tricky, man. Set your desktop audio device. Desktop audio device. I got it at default. And what was the other one I was supposed to set? Auxiliary mic audio device at default also. You should have two things under your mixer. I do. I can't hear you though. Mic auxiliary and desktop audio. Like I did before, right? Yeah. But I don't see it. Hang on. Okay. It's just, it used to have that green light on there that used to come up. Sorry guys, we're just trying to fix this. Desktop audio. Let me see where we're at. Okay. Select different mixer. All right, go in there now. All right. Select different mixer. Start. Select different mixer. Start with your mic auxiliary. Okay. Do you want me to go back into settings? I'm in settings now. So go to audio, right? Yes? I'm in audio. I'll just tell you what it says. Sample rate 44.1, channel stereo, desktop audio default. Good. Go down. So after that it says desktop audio 2 disabled. Go up one more. I'm reading. Don't use default. Select the same one that's being used in Zoom meeting. Oh, same one that's being used in. So speaker, Realtek. Yeah. Okay. And let me just see if that does anything. But mic auxiliary audio device, not device 2, is at default. Should I leave that there? So make that stereo mix Realtek high definition audio. Should that be webcam? Yeah. Okay. And then mic auxiliary audio device 2 is just disabled. And then audio device 3 is just disabled. All right, so I'm just going to push apply and see what happens. All right, I don't hear anything yet. All right, let me go back to Zoom, see what you're saying. Set your desktop audio device. You should have 2 things under your mixer. Select your different mixer. Start with your mix auxiliary. Don't use default. Select the same one that's being used in Zoom meeting. What is being used in Zoom meeting? Just my camera, right? Yeah. Desktop audio. Go to desktop audio and select Realtek. And I'm going back to OBS. Going back to settings. I'm going to audio. We're starting over, by the way. This is crazy. All right. So when I desktop audio devices says speakers, Realtek high definition audio. Is that correct? I'll fix it, then restart. Yeah, let's just restart. Yeah, okay. We could do this for like a couple days. No, we don't need that. All right, restarting. Sorry, guys. We are in test mode. Over. Test 1 2 1 2 test. My bad. Hang on. Cancel. I'm gonna restart OBS, right? Right. I'm gonna exit OBS.
All right. I'm gonna keep my other one on just so we can see if I can hear anything.
Right.
Or I just like the look of this. All right, let's see. Looks like we're
Actually,
back.
that you could start a new trend.
Yeah. I still hear you. I don't hear any of us still.
Well, okay, so let's go. Can you hear me over? Can you hear anything over, over, over? I would walk 500 miles and
Oh, I'm
I
muted.
would walk 500 more just to
Okay,
see
I hear
the
us.
man.
We're good.
We're good?
We're good.
Okay, so are we in the, and we're also, okay, good. We're back on.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So I'm going to restore chat. Oh, I got to make my window, right? No.
You're good. Don't mess with anything.
I'm going to fucking not mess with that damn thing. Okay, good.
All
Thank
right.
you. All right, so come on back, guys. Or whatever.
I have an echo. I don't have. Oh,
Oh, yeah, let's go fix that.
no, you don't have to. I think it's just me.
Do you remember when people were saying there was kind of an audio echo or something like that? I think that's what they're talking about. Eben has an echo. I know it's kind of a weird. It's like you know what it sounds like? It sounds like you're taking my order at Jack in a Box.
Okay.
Yeah. Just gonna see an order, please. Would you like a large fry? What kind of sauce would you like? You know.
Um,
Would you
I
like
don't
a
know.
supersize? Would you like a supersize that?
Let me check, see what I sound like. Is that always the case? Maybe it's just my mic.
It seems like some people are echoey and some aren't.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Okay, so can you hear yourself? It's probably coming in later. I think that's on YouTube when it comes out on YouTube.
Hmm.
I wonder if that's a Zoom setting or an OBS. It's got to be an OBS setting.
I think it's because your webcam is picking it up.
Oh yeah, so I fixed that by taking off my. But I need my webcam to pick up my voice.
Yeah, what you do is you have to use some type of headphones.
No, that's not. Okay.
Yeah, that's the only way. Otherwise, you're gonna get a little bit of feedback to the webcam mic from your desktop audio.
Ah,
That's why you get this echo.
the secco. Let's call it a secco because it's like a second voice.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, man. That's kind of. I don't really want to have a headset on. How can we? There's no way to fix that shit. Wait.
Or turn your desktop audio lower, so most of it doesn't reach the mic as much. So you may not be able to hear as well, but
No, I can hear. Let's see if that fixed because I actually turned down my desktop audio, and it's not
your
picking.
speakers, not your desktop audio from within your system, because then that other people can't hear us. You need to keep that level high enough so they can hear us. You just need to lower your actual speaker, your output speaker, the stuff that makes noise for you. If there's like a
Are
volume
you
knob,
talking about the stuff that makes noise?
yes. I don't know how else to say it.
That's the. I got it, dude. I got it.
The volume
You
knob
mean
on the
all that
physical
weird
speaker.
noise you hear in my head? Kind of makes
Boy.
my ears bleed sometimes. Okay, so that's better right there. So what I got to do is just turn down my. If it's too loud, then other people sound echoey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but if it picks it up, but not that bad. So, well, that means I can play some music and stuff. That's cool. All right. Let's see. Could you speak to see if we got a Angel, Blake, anybody out there? Um, can you guys check to see if Eben sounds echoey, please?
I could check on my own.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Testing with the echo. Testing echo, testing echo.
Keep going. Keep going because I'm turning it up or down and. Better.
But you need to increase the volume on your actual desktop settings, I think.
Desktop settings on my. I got it.
It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
No, I did. I turned it all the way up.
Okay.
I'm gonna turn
Forget
mine
what
all the way up too.
We're good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it all the way up. Forget it. Yeah. Okay, we're good. It sounds good on my end. Okay, thanks, Kev. All right, Tech. It looks like we're good. We got the new settings. Oh, so hey, I got a quick question for you, Evan. So we've got Alabama bans crossover voting. Oh, by the way, what somebody in some state. I think it was was Virginia? That was somewhere northeast. Uh, what is that called with the voting, the election process? We were fucking just talking about the other day. Uh, it'll come to me anyway. So besides that I just spaced out on, I see Alabama bans crossover voting. Now, how do I highlight Spain and Catalonia?
On your scene, select category 2.
Okay. On my scene, category.
Under your scenes in OBS, you have category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I just don't.
On the bottom left.
I see that.
All right. So when you want to go to your next category, which is Spain and Catalonia, you click the one with the 2.
All right. I'm gonna keep it out here for now. I don't know if anybody wants to, unless you want to talk about Alabama bans crossover voting.
Yeah, so it's a new law that passed. Basically, just to let people know. If anyone else has news on it, that'd be great.
Okay.
But basically,
now that I know how to click through there, that's cool.
Yeah. So basically, anyone who crosses over to vote for someone, a candidate that's not on their party that they've signed up for, I think it's like a maximum prison sentence to like 25 years and some money.
No shit.
Yeah.
So if you get caught, so you say you can't cross over to another party
to vote for another party,
right? So once you register as a particular party with, let's say, red, you got to stay red. So if you vote over here, red, you can't go over here and vote blue.
Yeah.
And then, because that's illegal. And that's actually good, right?
I mean, that's.
I mean, don't you want people just to vote once? Isn't that where it counts? And let's just say if it's a general election, then I can vote. Kind of cancel out my other vote, and it means like I don't even vote. It's just stupid. It's kind of redundant. Do people actually do that? Vote for?
Well, so certain states you can vote for any party. It doesn't matter. It's open. But certain states you can only vote for especially in a primary, whatever party you're affiliated in. So if you were watching TYT, Jimmy Dore, I think he was saying that he was going to vote for. He would have voted for, I think. No, maybe it wasn't Jimmy Dore, it was someone else. But basically, they're saying they would normally vote for, I guess, Hillary Clinton over Donald Trump,
right?
But because it wouldn't matter that Hillary was going to lose anyway, that they were going to vote for Jill Stein. I don't know where I was going with this. Anyways, I'm doing this all wrong. That's why I need your help, Tech. So certain states,
get in here.
You can.
I'm just listening to you guys talk.
You're just listening to just babble.
Yeah, I'm fumbling. You guys are fumbling, and I'm enjoying the brain. Your brain connection to my brain.
All
right, it's like a juggling act got bad, and now we've got chainsaws cutting off our arms and shit. You're just laughing and watching it happen.
So in Massachusetts, so you can vote. It doesn't matter what party you're affiliated with. If you're a Republican, you could vote in your Democratic primary. You don't have to vote for the Republican primary. You have to choose one or the other. You can't vote for both. Okay. You can't vote for the Democratic primary, and you can't vote in the Republican primary. You have to choose one. So it doesn't matter if you're unaffiliated like I am. If you're a Republican, you could go ahead and vote in Democratic primary and vice versa. However, certain states, you have to be assigned in a specific party in order to, and you can only vote within that party unless you're unaffiliated. If you're unaffiliated, you can vote for either or, but only one. So
I think it's a reflection of whether you're supporting big party politics, whether you're supporting, an individual's right to vote. You know, when you put laws like that on the books, to me, it's like the individual voter has less choice. And Yvonne was talking about Massachusetts. In Oregon, it's one of those things where if you're registered voter, you have to be voting as a Democrat to vote Democrat. You have to vote as a Republican to vote Republican. You can't cross over. You have less choice. You have less control. And then they have the time guidelines to where if you're not registered by a certain time, you can't vote. So to me, it's like the more open, the better, because that's the whole process. That opens up the whole process. That puts the power back to a greater extent in the hands of the people.
So it's a good thing.
I don't agree. I don't think it's a good thing. Not in Alabama. No.
Because what it's showing, what the definition that I'm showing, and it's a simple definition, is what I'm showing it to be is, hang on.
Who wrote what you're reading?
It's on. I just Googled it, and it
Mm-hmm.
says very simply, in a primary election in the United States, crossover voting refers to a behavior in which voters can cast ballots for a party with which they are not traditionally affiliated. That's kind of broad. I think what we're talking about is something I'm not familiar with it, so I'm just kind of trying to catch up here. So,
But I was thinking of it in terms of, let's say you're working for a particular campaign,
right,
and you're counting votes, that kind of thing. When you have these kind of laws in place, there's a lot less. There's more up in the air. You can't necessarily know specifically how Joe X block votes and A block over here votes ahead of time. There's a lot less guarantee because you actually have to wait to see how they vote. So to me, it's like if you're a political operative, yeah, if you've got more controls in place, you could probably deliver the goods in a more effective fashion. Me though, I think of it in terms of the voting public, and what's easiest for them, what gets them out. You know, most traditionally, both parties, depending on the circumstances and whatnot, have benefited by low voter turnout. And this is a way, to me, to repress the vote, to control the vote.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's like a $1,500 fine and a Class C felony, like up to 10 years maximum sentence for doing it and getting caught.
It's frustrating because if you are well informed, and let's say your opinion changes closer to the election, if you're locked in
as a registered blue or red, right, you're fucked.
And then all of a sudden it's like, and what do you do now when things are so volatile? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh God, maybe I do have to vote for Trump. Oh shit, I can't vote for Trump. My vote is worthless.
Right.
Because, that type of thing.
Like say Bernie went to the Green Party.
Yeah.
You can't vote for Bernie. You go to prison.
Right.
Because it's too late. So.
But they're not going to vote much for Bernie in Alabama unless we start doing a whole lot more work.
Yeah, but maybe say
that's not. Everybody knows that.
That's speculative, of course.
Let's say there's a libertarian person that Alabamans are looking for. But maybe say
what version of libertarian?
If they were a Republican candidate, if they're a Republican voter.
Yeah, they would be hurt by, let's say, not being able to vote for Rand Paul.
Yeah.
Wow, this looks really nice. By the way, this looks really good, Evan.
All right. Kevin, you're going to say something?
Sorry, go ahead, Kev.
Oh, I think I misunderstood what you were saying. I said, what version of libertarian?
A libertarian party.
Ah, that's the shitty version. Gotcha.
Right. That is the shitty version.
Evan. All right. Does anyone want to talk more about this, or do you want to move on, James?
No, I do.
I'd like to know a few more details on it, like the specifics
I want to know
like,
more. I don't know enough about it, but I did pull up a site on crossover voting, and I'm going to do some reading. So bear with me. Okay, here are some things to know about the change. They voted for crossover voting.
But again, let's be specific on this. We're only talking about the state of Alabama, correct?
That's correct.
that is what the tag says. Oh, which is kind of nice. That's I kind of like that.
It is cool.
It does kind of block off the chat bar thing, though.
Kevin?
Yeah,
Kevin,
you know what? We might make those smaller and make the chat
where-
bigger. We're still kind of mixing stuff around.
Right.
Oh no, I think it's so far so good.
Yeah, so
Where
far,
are
so
you
good.
seeing a list? Where's the list at?
The one, it's in the link that I put in the chat. What list? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the orange and blue things or whatever. I don't know, the note tabs or whatever the hell
Where's
you want to call them.
Those,
Yeah, my question is, where is that injected at, Ebon?
if you
Within
go
OBS.
to the YouTube, you'll see it in the actual YouTube.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So
sorry.
people on here aren't going to see that.
All right. So, yeah,
Dave.
all your guys' input is helpful. We don't want to get too crazy because Evan's already spent a lot of time. But honestly, it looks good. I just want to make sure that when somebody
Well,
comes on,
it's not ever set in stone anyway, is it? Or is it? Are we saying that it can't be changed?
no, of course we're gonna mix and maneuver and make sure it's good. But I just want when people come onto the YouTube, I want them to see, oh shit, this is what they're talking about today. Alabama bans crossover voting, Spain and Catalonia, Hollywood's pedophilia problem, and it's getting worse, by the way. What the fuck, Tony Podesta? And weather oddities, which is always crazy, and today's mainstream media narrative. I should just put today's mainstream hyperbole. That's what I'd like to say, hyperbole.
So is there going to be a time in the future where that's going to be able to be injected into Zoom as well? No?
I mean, if we had enough dedicated developers, we could probably
Right.
create something.
Right.
I'd like to add one thing for the comment or for that little chart thing that James just went through. For today's mainstream media narrative, you should put today's mainstream media word vomit.
Your favorite, James, word salad.
Yeah, fucking word salad. Thank you to the Green Party for that. All right, let me go back to reading this real quick because I don't think it quite captures what's really going on. But I'll go through it as quickly as possible. I voted Republican primary, but okay, wait. Okay. Here are some things to know about the change. I voted in the Republican primary, but want to vote in the Democratic runoff. Can I? No. I voted in Democratic primary, but want to vote in the Republican runoff. Can I? No. Why the change? Supporters of this bill said it prevents one party from exerting undue influence on the other party's race. Crossover voting has been a major issue in the past state elections. What if you're an independent? You can still vote in the primary, but you'll have to pick a party during the primary and can only vote in that party runoff. Oh, I didn't like the way that sounded. You know what I'm saying?
You're seeing it, yeah.
I would have to say I'm against that.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I don't know. I'd have to say it's 50-50 because to a point, it's like, okay, let's say you have a horrible candidate. Well, you always have horrible candidates, but let's just say we have a horrible candidate run in the Dem Party and a horrible candidate run in the Republican Party, and the Dem Party, or those people go over there to vote in that one to try to sway it to their choice. And the Republicans go over there and try to sway it to their choice. But it locking people into a single party and then basically like, it's only for primaries, right?
It also pertains to what about the general election? You can vote for whomever you want during the general election, no matter which candidate or party you supported in the primary or runoff. The party choice doesn't bind you for future elections either. So if you vote in the Republican primary and runoff during one election cycle, you are free to vote Democratic in the next. It doesn't bind you for future elections either. So if you vote in the Republican,
But we're getting some echo from somewhere.
during one election,
Somebody
came on.
Tech Move, can you mute your YouTube stream?
It's already muted, guys. I figured it out as soon as Kevin piped up.
When will the lie go? When will the law go into effect? August 15th. I just really honestly feel that when a state, especially in a southern state, starts to finagle with stuff like right to work,
Yeah.
crossover voting, you got to kind of be careful because the shitty stuff usually happens down in that area.
It also forces people in primary processes to pick one party. You know what I mean? Which, from an independent point of view, you want the best possible candidates you can get running in any of the primaries, like Dem primary, Republican primary, Green primary. You want to try to get the best possible choices for yourself.
Right.
So it makes sense to vote for the one you want best in the Republican, the one you want best in the Democrat, and the one you want best in the Green Party or something like that, doesn't it? And then that way, hopefully, when the general comes around, you can get at least one of the fucking half decent ones. I feel like it's option limiting to people.
It does sound like that. It sounds a lot like that. Evan,
it also pretty much locks a candidate into a party, because they may start out, say, at a Republican Party, and then they go, you know what, they're not going to help me out. Just like Dr. Shiva. So they end up going to, say, a Libertarian Party, and then no one that's Republican can vote for him. So, except for when the general comes, but then, if all your supporters are mostly Republicans, you're kind of screwed. So, anyways,
I think we need to dissect that a little more and need some more information on it. Just from what I gathered, totally. You really got to be careful, and I'm just going off of what I just obtained from gosh darn it, from the AL.com, which is, I guess that means Alabama.com. Which, man, whoever got that must have picked up that fucking domain name a long time ago. But that's AL.com. So that's just them speaking. But I'd like to see some other. There's got to be some things in here that are more alarming. I just don't. It just seems too simplified. It's too general. It needs to be simplified.
Is there any way to actually get to the actual piece of legislation they proposed, or is this a passed piece of legislation, or is this a proposed piece of legislation?
They proposed it in the past, but I think they just voted on it and they passed it.
Okay, so I'll put up another.
So we should be able to actually get access to the actual text document of it.
Yeah. We could focus on it. I think on another.
No. We're on it.
You want to
go?
But
we just have to figure out the implications of it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on it. So here it is. The violations could be, and I went to the HuffPost because sometimes the HuffPost might have some interesting information. It's all selective. But they're saying it's a $15,000 fine and up to 10 years in prison. Fuck. That's crazy.
It's like making voting a crime.
Well, it seems like you'd be hesitant to even participate because you wouldn't.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? You're like, am I doing the right thing? Because you don't understand it. We've only been talking about it for 5 or 10 minutes, or 10, 15 minutes, and we're still confused. So if I'm confused, then fucking everybody's confused.
I'm not confused, James.
I know you're not confused, Tech.
And can you imagine if it was like whoever counts the votes got it wrong?
Yeah.
And a couple of people shared the same names.
Just there was a glitch in the system or something. Next thing you know, you're going to jail. 15 for voting for 10 years.
Yeah, that's not jail. That's prison.
Prison. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Spend over Never
Yeah,
mind.
that's fucking don't pick up the soap prison. That's what you're talking about.
That's don't drop the soap.
Yeah, don't drop it. Don't pick it up.
One of the best products in prison,
No.
soap on a rope.
That's pretty bad, dude. That's pretty bad.
All right.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself. It was funny.
That's good.
Mhm.
That's right. So
All right.
it's I don't like it coming from the red. There's a lot of details. Plus, I think the main thing I just spoke about is if you're not sure what's going on, and if some of these people in Alabama, I'm sorry, if you haven't graduated, from Alabama, then everybody else is probably not fully understanding what this does, and it might even keep some people from even voting. So let's just say there's a billboard out in an area you don't want people to vote. Probably
Also have to.
Probably minorities, right, Kevin? Probably minorities. So you put out and say, if you don't vote, blah,
I
blah,
wanted
blah,
to
it's gonna be
specifically say I believe Alabama's one of the states with a 30% black population.
Yes, exactly. It's huge. So
I mean,
that's a good
Michigan's
way.
only right around 13 or 14%.
It's
just,
almost
you
like
know,
I'm almost thinking this is intentionally out there, not just to confuse them, but to scare some of them from voting.
Of course it is. That's exactly what.
Yeah, of course.
It somewhat seems that way.
Yeah.
I like I said, I haven't read the actual details of the legislation. I haven't kind of went in, like, I'm not familiar with Alabama,
You don't want to
know.
It's voter suppression, guys.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's pretty much voter suppression. And it just went boom, and they just fucking just...
Actually, question, what party has control in Alabama? That's a red state, right?
Red state.
It's the Republicans are the ones that passed that, correct?
Peeping answer.
I think you could probably look real quick. The Republican governor, Republican senators, mostly Republican representatives, red state.
Well, they've admitted in the past that their number one way of winning elections is by the less people that vote, the more chance they win.
Indeed.
Hey, are there any questions or anything from chat in regards to this? What we're talking about? Does anybody can check that? Because I can't slip through the screens like I used to as fast because I got the new system, which I've got to reconfigure a few things.
No questions that I see.
No questions.
Yeah.
All right, so that's something to be alarmed about, and sadly, it's going to spread like wildfire through the South. So I'm going to go ahead and let's change that topic. What do you think, Evan?
Sure. I should do the Vanna White and try to...
I know that'll come by like a dropper card or push it and make it flip around.
Or you could do it comically and do one of those little where the cane thing comes out and grabs the topic and pulls it off stage.
Wow. Animate it.
Yeah, that'd be kind of funny. Yeah.
Like, we can do sound effect stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, that's just for shits and giggles, pretty much.
Later on, that'd be fucking awesome. All right, so going back to Zoom. Anybody know anything about Catalonia in Spain? I don't know anything about it. I really don't.
Very basics. I don't know much about it.
What about Snork? Snork, you got anything? Okay. Tech, do you do anything?
By the way, James, when you want to click on category 2 in your scenes.
No, but I'm thinking I'm going to category 3.
Oh, you're going to skip it?
Yeah, because nobody's got any information about it. I'm not really following.
Yeah, it's just...
I think Snork was going to say something, but I'm not sure about that.
No, I don't know anything about Catalonia.
Oh, okay.
So go and click it. We'll just do a quick one. Basically, good. All right. So basically, it's just Catalonia is trying to seek independence. Last time they tried that, there was a civil war, and that's it. So Spain is pretty much preventing them again.
Generally,
So
go ahead, Ivan. Sorry.
I don't know. That's it. That's kind of...
I was just gonna add. Julian Assange has been following that really closely the last few weeks. I've seen a lot of tweets by him. Go on to Twitter, pick your favorite Julian Assange name, and follow Catalonia. He's been tweeting an awful lot about it. So
Okay. Do you know why he's so involved in it? Is there a specific reason?
I think it's the governmental takeover, Spain bully, David versus Goliath aspect of it that just really bothers him, and he probably has ties, somewhere in there. He knows activists, he's got his network. He probably knows people that are directly affected by it. He could very well be bilingual. So
He's probably more than that.
yeah.
All right. James, are you there? I think he needed to go use the restroom, so maybe he's just gone and coming back. So I'm pretty much in favor of Catalonia getting their independence. What do you guys think?
I think that would be awesome.
I would need to know much more on the situation of Catalonia, the situation of Spain, and then the surrounding EU situation. Because you got to see how all these little gears and pieces are moving together.
And there is a lot to that, and that's the side of caution. I normally hear about these independence movements, and over the years, my thinking has been, based on general constructs about colonialism and whatnot, and who are the colonialist powers. Now, the David versus Goliath aspect of it, to me, I guess I follow in, along with Assange on that to a certain extent.
I would have to say I'm really kind of up in the air on this, because sometimes it's not so much about the independence movement and more about balkanizing countries so they can be taken over and exploited.
Right, at the economic side of it, right. And I don't know enough about the area of Catalonia itself, if that is indeed the case. I think of it sometimes with all that's going on in the world at a superficial, higher level, instead of digging down deep into it sometimes. What's my interest in it? What's my vested interest in it? I think of the age-long struggles, Palestinians versus the Israelis, or
I have something to say on the Palestinian-Israeli thing, or
Right.
Israeli thing. If you actually read the original thing, it was actually Rothschilds they allowed to start Israel to begin with. It's literally a British document. I forget the actual name of it, but it also says in it they were allowed to start a country within Palestine, not take over Palestine and turn it into a colony.
Wow.
So they're already in violation of the document that allowed them to start that in the first place.
Of course, that's been so long ongoing. I was thinking of, more recently, Scotland trying to leave the UK. Even some success, I think you could probably, depending on how you parsed it, depending on how you thought about it, what happened with Iceland 8-9 years ago, when they sort of rejiggered their country, their government, away from, the economic capitalists in their country at the time. So that is also, to me, in my mind, that's a form of it as well. Stretching it, I'll give you, but it's similar. Different circumstances, but you could make some comparisons pretty easily.
All right.
Julian Assange does not like to discuss how many languages he speaks.
How many do you think? I mean, he's Swedish, right? Is he Swedish?
Australian?
Yeah, he's Australian, I thought, isn't he? Or no, what is he? Yeah, Australian. I could have sworn that's where he's from originally, wasn't it?
He's from Australia, but what his nationality is, I'm not sure there.
I don't know. Oh, I didn't know he was Australian.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah. Hey, Stevie, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good.
You want to chime in on the Catalonia situation?
Oh, I'm not informed enough on that to really chip in.
This is why we need Christian here, because he's really caught up in that.
Yeah. This would be a good topic for Christian.
Yeah. So if James would hurry up pooping, we can move on to the next category.
Hurry up, man. Pinch it off.
Unlike me, Christian can speak Spanish without having the Spanish people laugh at him.
We touched on that the last time because Christian hasn't been on for a couple of nights, and it seemed like he was pretty passionate about Catalonia. I wish he was here right now.
Snork, you wouldn't happen to know of a good translation program, would you? Like a pretty accurate translation program. I know they all have problems, but you know.
Well, it seems to me like the major ones are getting better and better every day because they just get to see so many different conversations. So, Microsoft and Google are probably right up there. And I haven't tried the Apple one.
I don't know. I'd like to have a translation program that's not affiliated. Basically, it's not attached to a large corporation. Kind of like an independent or open source translation program would be nice. Because I'm a primary English speaker. I don't speak any other languages.
You take any language?
Unless you count Pig Latin as a language.
It kind of qualifies, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Pig Latin, sure. You didn't study language at all, Kevin, in school?
I took Spanish, but I only know bits of it. And I also took German and French, but like I said, I only know bits and pieces of it. Don't ever use it.
Well, there's a lot of crossover, though. A lot of words coming in and out of English, even that are so affected by, their usage. And, we've got, the whole movement of people from country to country and whatnot to come in here, influencing our language, in positive and negative ways. I don't know, language skills, man. I wished I was bilingual, triple lingual, quadruple lingual.
Okay.
Yeah, the problem is, like, if you don't have anybody to talk in that language with, it's like you just forget it. I took 7 years of Spanish. I've taken Chinese, Amharic, French, all sign language, and I know a few words now. That's all that I retained just because.
I actually know a decent chunk of sign language, but that's only because I had a deaf person in my family.
Oh.
You got to practice a lot, Kevin, with him?
Yeah, with her. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought about that too, and it's like I need a neighbor. I need someone that's close to me, and I can go talk to them. That would be fun. Because culturally, you could do a lot more. You could go out to eat. You could fix food. You could do all the listen to music.
The best way to learn language is to drop yourself right into the area. Give it like 6 months to a year, and you'll start picking it up really quick.
Immersion.
Or even there's so many routes that you can see TV from the other countries. Start with subtitles and work up.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, sometimes those subtitles aren't super accurate, though.
No, but in fact, there's some sites that purposely make the subtitles fun.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Well, I've also seen where they put subtitles on stuff and they literally fubbed the translation on purpose to where they changed the meaning of what the person was saying. So
Yeah,
that's the really problem with
remember which
subtitles
one
and
that is.
translation.
But it was actually some of them that did a really good job of making the story actually more enjoyable. It's almost like a Mystery Science Theater 3000, but they do it with the subtitles.
All right, so James's transition to Hollywood and pedophilia.
I didn't pick the topics, but I guess we should talk about them. These are Evan's topics, by the way.
Yeah, he didn't give me any topics. So
I did. You just throwing stuff on the wall. That's okay.
So
it's just stuff that I've been seeing through Twitter.
Okay,
Sorry.
so we're moving on. So in regards to Pizzagate, that's still looming around in Facebook, and I've seen a few posts by people in regards on Twitter. I honestly, I always hear that there's going to be some big investigation, but I never hear any results. It seems like for some reason it always gets stifled. The only thing that's actually moving is Tony Podesta, which is John Podesta's brother, which is still kind of moving in that direction. But there seems to be some other Hollywood people, and like Kevin Spacey recently, who one of his victims, I guess he was 14. He was 14 when this happened. Am I correct?
16. I think he was 16, and he didn't like rape him. He was just he was hitting on him, for sure. Well, that's what the kid is saying. But this was his segue into being outing himself as being bisexual or gay. I don't know which one, but not like
my question is it a crime for a gay guy to hit on another gay guy?
Well, if
I mean, would it be a crime? Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
He's a 16-year-old.
Yes.
I think Spacey was 26 at that time.
I mean, but did he know he was 16? I mean, because he could look older, I mean, or told him that he was 18. So I don't know. This is the first I'm hearing about this. Last I heard about Kevin Spacey was that, it came out that he was gay. So I didn't know anything about any of these allegations or whatever.
When I was younger, about 22, there was a girl that was younger, and I didn't know she was younger until after she was younger.
Oh God, that's always a trap too. You're like, oh, how old are you? Oh shit. It's like they always look a lot older than they actually are sometimes. It's just, it seemed like a 15-year-old. It looks like she's 25.
In that specific case, though, with
you're not calling me anymore. Why aren't you calling me anymore? They're gonna call you. Sorry.
I think one of the biggest ones is I don't know what you guys think about the Corey. Was it Corey Feldman and Corey Haim? Corey Haim died of overdose, I think. And then Corey Feldman is still around, and he recently had. I mean, he's always been kind of saying that
it's big in Hollywood.
Yeah, it's big in Hollywood, but recently I think he's doing an Indiegogo campaign for protection and for hire legal team and all this other stuff, because it's all done in the past, so they can't really do anything about it now. That's, I think, so he's trying to figure out. He's saying that if someone else kind of goes public with it, he'd support them, and like if he had to go and testify or something, he'd probably take the stand. But then when he announced that, I think was 2 days ago, he ended up going to jail for possession of marijuana. So
yeah, that's some bullshit there.
You got Howard Hughes. Who's the guy who's saying, "You took my nerves and you rattled my brain"? It's like the man insane. Balls of fire, huh?
Yeah, I've heard that song, but I can't.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah, it wasn't. It's Jerry Lee Lewis, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
But he was involved with somebody that was, I don't know, 14 or 15 or something like that when he
and his cousin.
Yeah.
Or something,
Layers of creepy there.
That's pretty sick. So, I mean, this kind of stuff.
Wait.
Third
Third cousin?
time, but
First, second, or third cousin? First? Oh, now that's bad. Third cousin isn't actually related by blood, so not as bad.
Okay, Kev.
Well, it's also a third cousin isn't related by blood. They're technically not they're not genetically related to you.
Okay.
Still, you're all at the Thanksgiving dinner, and these two are kind of looking at each other funny, right?
If you can run into each other at a family reunion, you shouldn't be dating. Just rule of thumb there.
That's probably a good. Yeah, that's something to watch out for. So I don't know where all this is going to go.
But you can have a family member that ends up being a family member just through marriage.
Well, that's by
Anyways,
law.
When I was looking up a lot of stuff about Hollywood, that there are, like, if you look up convicted pedophiles that still work in Hollywood, that still work at Nickelodeon, still work with kids, yeah, you could just do a Google search. You can find a list of them. And that just amazes me. I mean, they have a convicted history, and why are they still working with kids? It's just mind-boggling. I feel like it's the biggest open secret that, I mean, if you talk about pedophilia in Hollywood, people say, yeah, it's probably done, but people really don't do anything about it.
I mean, if you want to get really creeped out, do a sex offender search in your area. Guarantee you there's going to be at least a few in your neighborhood. I mean, it's creepy. I mean, like Hollywood, it's like, oh, that's so screwed up. You know, they're using their power and all this stuff. But when it's like this is happening everywhere across America. This is in everybody's backyards. I mean, I looked it up, and there were kids that I went to school with in my grade that are now convicted sex offenders for molesting kids. I'm like, oh my God, I was that close to them. You know, it's like, so it's so weird.
There's actually a map.
Again, I really wish that there was more help for them.
I'm not making any excuses for pedophiles or anything like that, but sometimes some of those people that end up getting on that list were literally like, they were 18 or 19. They dated somebody that was like 16, 17. And so sometimes there are exceptions to that. But for the most part, it's they did it.
Yeah, I mean, there was one guy on there that was that got caught for streaking at my football game. Now he's a sex offender. You know, so it's like, you know, there's people like that, but it actually had, you know, the stuff that they did on there. But you know, there needs to be. I wish there was a more of a way that these people could seek out help before they did stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, but there's, I mean, naturally a stigma. But, you know, they're afraid to come forward and get help before they do stuff like that. So I don't know what to do to fix that. I mean, because it's so screwed up, right? Like the stuff that they do. But, I mean, it looks to me like a mental illness. I mean, because nobody in their right mind would ever want to do that. You know what I mean? I mean, that's probably my
also a good portion of the actual pedophiles were previously raped by somebody else.
Well, that too. And it's like, usually, you know, it's one of those things that just, you know, continues the cycle. And I don't know. I just don't want to see kids getting molested. So if that means that, you know, we got to get these people help before they do that, whatever. I mean, like, crack down on, I just don't see that this issue is really being addressed like it should, like preventative wise. We wait until after the kids are molested, and then we'll throw them in jail for a couple years or something. I mean, it's, yeah.
And it doesn't stop there. Look at the college campuses. I think they said up 3 out of 4 females in college campuses get raped. Is that still accurate? That's just crazy. 3 out of 4 is like, I'm basically hiring bodyguards. My daughter when she's going to college.
Damn football players.
Yeah. And then I think I remember watching this Corey Feldman giving an interview with The View, and the oldest one there, I forget her name. She's very popular. She was like a news anchor, and so he was saying he was kind of like saying. Not saying the word pedophilia, but saying that things like that were going on, and then she coaxed him into saying so are you trying to say pedophilia? And he goes, yes. And then a few like seconds later, she goes, why are you wanting to damage an industry like that? It's like, if
I don't know. Why do you want to damage kids like that? You know, it's like, I want to take down an industry. You want to hurt kids. Which one's worse?
yeah. So, and I think the biggest thing is he's saying that there's someone really huge as I mean, there's some producers out there, but basically an actor that's very famous, that's made billions for the, in his movies, that's gay,
Close to Clinton.
pedophilia, probably. And people would be like, no way if people ever found out. So that would be a surprising reveal if that ever happens.
Who's the big case right now where the guy's got all these allegations?
Harvey Weinstein.
Weinstein, right. And I think some of these were, some were underage, right?
I don't know the details of Weinstein.
Anyway, I've heard this. It's big over here because I'm right next to it. I'm right by Hollywood. So as I'm cruising around in the morning or whatever at lunch, I've got it on news radio every once in a while, and I'm actually hearing these freaking victimized women and what they've gone through, and it's not just him. It's like it's everywhere. It's like the entire industry. Oh man, it's just really out of control, and there's got to be something that needs to be done out there to make sure that this kind of stuff there's no like Stevie said, there's not enough preventative care out there for people, and then there's not enough policing, and then there's not enough people watching, like an organization that within human resources or something that just kind of watches and makes sure of these things, that they aren't taking place, that we, like, there's zero tolerance for this kind of stuff. And this kind of stuff happens all over the place, and it's just kind of sad. And Kevin's probably going to like this, but should we have prostitution? I mean, I'm not saying that's the cure, but I'm saying that wouldn't.
Well, pedophilia is a different problem with prostitution. You're not going to have.
Well, pedophilia is different, of course. I'm talking about the abusive. It's just a mindset. It just seems really bad.
Yeah,
it's just because people have said we should have prostitutes who would help the abusive women. I'm just like, I don't think that's gonna help some sicko fuck.
Stevie's got it right. It's about power.
Yeah, and if you can buy the sex, then it's not. You don't get the power from it. I mean, these are messed up. These people are addicted to power, whether it's through money, through, rape, or whatever it is that they do. It's just that they're addicted. They need that feeling of power all the time.
Yeah. Pretty bad. So nobody's doing anything about it.
And it just makes them look weaker too. I mean, does it not? I mean, the fact that it's like, like the guy that's, driving the giant truck. It's like, that seems a little obvious, and then like, you've got these guys that they're so hungry for power. It's just, it makes you look weaker. It makes you look weaker the more you try to, what was it? That Game of Thrones quote? It's like, a real king does not have to say that he's king, So it's like the fact that you have to go out there and rape women just shows how weak you are.
Yeah.
True.
I think there are a lot of stories and incidences of it. It's just never covered by mainstream media, really. It's just kind of brushed under, and I think that's where the problem is because it's multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
they don't, like the lady said, they don't want to damage the industry, so they don't want to bring up. But at some point, with this Weinstein dude and everything else that's happening out there, they've got to have measures out there to keep this under control. And in regards to the psyche of these people and their power and control hungry personalities. Just go get a remote control car or something. You know, there's other things to do, right? Aren't there other things to do out there? It's just, you know.
That sounds too family oriented, though, James. You know, when you got kids, that's one thing. But if these people are either estranged from their families, don't have families, you know, and if they're power tripping, and that's what's inside their head, the only thing that's going to get them off is doing what they're doing until they're stopped.
Yeah, especially when you don't talk to people or when you don't realize that you have a problem. Like these people, they just think it's totally normal, and they're so rich that nobody around them is going to call them out. You know, nobody's going to do an intervention for these people. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it festers, and the more that you do it, the more that you need. That's why you see like serial killers. You know, it's like they get sloppy, they speed up. You know, they start killing more people. It's because once you feed that need, it's like you need more and more and more of it, so they get sloppy. And you know, it's I don't know what to do. I mean, I have no idea. How do you even go about solving something like this?
You know, I do think there are probably ways of handling these people, but I don't think it's. I mean, there's got to be therapists out there that have the fucking answer, that know exactly what to do. But I don't think it's just. I don't think it's accessible enough, or I don't think it's implemented enough, and I think on certain cases forced upon people to. I mean, once you've been classified as a pedophilia, and I mean, I sent the link to a map, and I just freaked out because I just checked Anaheim, California, and there's fucking red dots everywhere.
Yeah, there's a surprising amount of them.
Yeah, there's one in my house too.
I've had fucking quite a few in the area around me.
I mean, it's just everywhere. So,
and some of them are the actual pedos, like the horrible, goddamn, awful pedos that attack children.
Yeah.
So you're not saying in your house, James. You're saying maybe like in your complex.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just fucking around.
Yeah.
But they're just everywhere. I mean, this is like, it's not like one. It's like, okay, let's just say the radius I did was probably 10-mile radius.
But those numbers make it look a lot worse than like as a whole country. Like it's bad either way you slice it. But you know, when you consider 340 million people in a country, and how many are there on that list?
Yeah, in the city, there's 351 million people, 354,000 people in Anaheim, and just in the area that I am, which is about a third of it, it was just peppered with red pins everywhere. You know?
Yeah, they normally end up grouping those pedophiles together in living areas.
Yeah, they got to be away from schools and shit like that too.
Yeah, they don't really follow that much because I've seen them living near schools.
Yeah. It's a real problem. And what if Pizzagate actually existed? So yeah,
it is a possibility.
Yeah. So where is that? Who's putting that up? Snork. This is from Snork. Snork, that's nothing. Put this zip code in, dude.
And it's too pretty, Snork, because you got all those nice colored balloons. You know,
yeah.
You need to be like red.
You should put in my zip code at 92806, dude. And
I'll go back.
Yeah.
That's a town of 6,000 people.
Yeah.
And this is 60% of the county's population is in town.
Yeah.
But that's an awful lot of flags.
That seems like a lot for that amount of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're all by the high school and 2 elementary schools.
See, I told you. They don't fucking follow those goddamn laws.
And those laws change from state to state, town to town. It's complicated.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that other zip code?
What am I yelling for? 92806.
I get to get back there.
92806.
You're yelling all the way from the coast.
Yes, I'm yelling from Disneyland. Hopefully you can hear me.
Can you hear him, Snore?
Disneyland's a horrible place.
Let's see if it lets me do it, but it's that.
Who's been to Disneyland? Anybody? Here.
I have, but years ago.
Okay, I just want to say it's chaos. It's just I know when to go because I can go whenever I want. I have people that can get me in for free, and my kids. But I'm telling you, it's if you don't go at a certain time during a certain day. Okay, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Get there before 9:30, before it opens up at 10. You will ride some rides. If you get there after 12 or 1 o'clock, you will be waiting in a ride for an hour and a half. That's
Right.
and the shittiest ride. If you go there on a weekend or during the vacation months, let's just say it's spring break or holiday season or something like that, you will be waiting up to about 2 hours sometimes to get on a ride. It's just fucking crazy. It's stupid.
So have there ever been any studies
look at
done
that.
or what?
Look at that.
Hello?
Looks.
Can I get my question in, or we'll just look at this?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask about Disneyland, just, maybe to sum up Disneyland. Has anybody seen anything, or there ever been any studies done about maybe pedophiles hanging out at Disneyland?
I would not doubt it.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, wherever there's a large group of children, there's going to be some creeper hanging around close to them.
Yep. Abductions,
And you got to think a lot of the really, really awful sex rings and pedophiles are tied to the government. They're tied to politicians.
Was the scale on that map about the same as the one you showed, Snork?
I don't know.
Probably.
I think some of those city blocks probably have more people.
No,
than
it's
town.
this. I'm pretty sure it's the same.
Sure. I'm just talking about,
Oh shit, that's a lot, Stevie.
the size of the area.
That's a lot, man.
Why are they so tightly grouped next to the river?
That could be bad.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just saying this is it's just gotten bad. Nobody's really done anything or taken the steps. It needs to go to I think it should be at not just a city, state level, it should be at a federal level where things should just really start to clamp down on this because this is just out of control. It's just,
Are there ties to porn? We always joke about pornography, the accessibility of pornography on the internet. Can we tie some of this to pornography at all?
I don't think so. But
people, trying to get their needs met and having
But we can tie the FBI to child porn sites.
no doubt about that, because they're the ones that are supposed to be enforcing, less pedophilia.
So
And the CIA.
hi, Shirley.
Also true.
Hi.
So this is the website that I was showing or that I was reading, basically of these people who work in Hollywood that they're still working in Hollywood, like Disney and Nickelodeon especially. They're still within Hollywood.
So it's basically like the pedophile with the ice cream truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this list, if I just caught it and I haven't perused this site any closer, I usually don't read much about that stuff anymore unless it becomes just too pervasive. But correct me if I'm wrong, on that site, was it perpetrators as well as some, of sexual crimes still working in Hollywood? It just as I was passing through that, it seemed like it was perpetrators and those perpetrated against. So at least, if that's the case, then at least Hollywood, is more fair and balanced as far as keeping all their people still employed, whether they're fair and equal as far as whether you're a pedophile versus whether you're a
My guess is
victim of a pedophile.
My guess is they stay employed within the industry because they can out some of the more popular people in the industry.
Yeah, yeah.
And it also allows them to keep doing the pedophilia shit.
Exactly.
Oh, that would be the darker side of it. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, think about it. If you knew someone who's really popular and you're the ones, that
Right.
they aren't known for, and they're not going to be convicted.
Yep.
You can.
That's how the dirt game is played.
Exactly.
And it also gives them a public figure that that's the guy to go to. Like if that's what you want, that's the guy that you talk to. Those are the people you talk to. So it's like, it's like, okay, some of these people just wander around. They're like, how do I do this? But well, there's a guy right there you can go and talk to. He knows how to do this because it's been proven. And it's screwed up. It's so screwed up. How is this happening that they are allowed around kids?
How is it
Hey,
happening? They're
I'm
allowed to
telling
live
you,
near
like-
fucking schools.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
Well, listen at this story that just broke here near me in Delaware County. It was this guy working for a company that they dressed up in costumes and characters to go to parties for kids. This guy was just arrested today for sexually abusing 5 children, dating back 7 years, as young as 5.
Holy shit.
So this guy was like a clown going to these parties.
Yeah, he dressed up as different characters.
Right.
It puts you in the mind of Wayne Gacy.
Right. Right.
And it's like when you hear these stories, you think.
My question is, what are these party entertainers doing? Oh, sorry.
Sorry. But when you hear these stories, you can't help but to think, how can we stop this? Like, how can we prevent this? Like, I hear this and it just keeps happening over and over and over again to Hollywood, to our kids, our backyard. And it's like, how do we stop it? I mean, there's only so much you can do to protect your kids. I can't go to school with my kid. If there's some creepy teacher or, whoever that volunteers there, I can't protect him there. So it's like, how do you stop this stuff from happening? And I mean, does anybody, other than preventative care, like mental health wise, to get these people help, but even then they don't want to come forward because it's this gigantic stigma, as it should be, because it's such a screwed up thing. But I'd rather have somebody get the help that they need before they commit the crime. So it's like, how can we make it a little bit better? At least make it less of a thing, because it seems so prevalent.
I've said,
you saw all those red dots in my backyard. That's kind of terrifying.
Yeah. Well, did you see Anaheim? It's crazy.
Number of stickers.
Well,
What was that, Cheryl?
This is a strong argument for training kids how to defend themselves with a knife or gun. It's like, would you have your kid carrying a knife if they ever get into that? If you teach them properly not to assault people or not anything like that, and there could be, if they were ever in that situation, if they're trained and they know how to use a knife or something, that could be the one thing that fucking gets them away from those sort of people. You know what I mean? A person whoops out his shit in front of somebody, that little girl can fucking grab a knife and stab the motherfucker.
Yeah, but a lot of this is like the stories from the Hollywood is like these kids, they want to be famous. You give them a lot of attention. They give them quaaludes. I don't know what exactly they are. Probably get them drunk.
So they drug them.
It's the type of roofie.
Yeah, it's a downer.
Yep. And so you're not going to even
It's
really
depressing.
be conscious. Other times they're like saying, hey, if you tell anyone, we're going to kill your family, type of things. Sometimes one I was reading, they had like a gun to their head while they're, so it's not all easy.
I agreed, it's not all easy, but there are ways to mitigate the possibilities of something like that occurring to some degree.
Yeah.
And it's rampant in Washington too. Remember Larry Craig, the former congressman? He was sleeping with the pages.
There's a huge list. Even Weiner, what's his name?
Anthony Weiner.
He got a huge list of people that were in politics.
Guys,
and I wonder about.
It went all the way up to the president of the United States. Clinton was with a page. You know, she was a page,
Yeah.
an intern.
And it's hard talking about this topic too. I mean, I think my initial reaction is like, this is too depressing. Let's just go to the next topic.
It makes me not want to have fucking kids at all. Because if anyone ever touched my kids, they'd be in a world of fucking hurt.
I don't know about your kids. My kids would be armed.
But you guys know on a salacious scale, though, that if you really wanted to put out something that might be, hey, look over here, don't look over here, Hollywood, because so many people are connected with Hollywood. They go to the movies, they watch TV, you know. If you really wanted to start something to keep people's attention away from something else, why not a Hollywood scandal? You know, if the political scandals are all burned out, you know, and you know, Pizzagate, Russiagate, all the stuff is. Let's start on Hollywood. Well, you know, we're gonna obfuscate this, and we're gonna push your attention over to this. You know, people are talking about this. You know, maybe this other problem that we really don't want you to focus on, to pay attention to. You know,
Yeah.
is continuing on. You know, loses traction, loses people's interest, and you know, business as usual.
And that's why for the categories list, we got today's mainstream media narrative last, because we can kind of see, you know, why are these topics kind of pervasive and what's the mainstream media talking about.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's like the Nancy Grace effect. People love tragedy porn. People love, you know, they love watching sex and, you know, stuff on TV. So it's like, what is the best way to get people outraged? You know, you get all your, you know, it hits on all the things that, you know, TV puts out there, you know, violence, you know, drama. And so these are the stories, and it's a way to take down other people that, I mean, you can't go after them on corruption or, you know, shady business ties, because shit, that's what you're doing. So it's like, you know, you got to go deep in that closet and find something that you're not doing or something that can't be tied back to you.
You know, of course, the thing with Weinstein that I found interesting was his political fundraising abilities, the amounts of money and whatnot that he was contributing and, you know, raising for these Democratic politicians. The fact that what really is this? You know, what's the motivation for outing this guy? I want him outed anyway. Just a matter of, you know, some things are bigger and more important than some political thing, whether it comes down to human beings having a life, being safe, being able to live your life, that type of thing, versus politics. But the fact that, you know, Weinstein is out there and doing this, who has the most to gain by him falling?
Well, also, I mean, to your previous point, it might have been, I remember back a few years ago, whenever something needed to be pulled out of the media focus, something would happen with Lindsay Lohan. Maybe
Right.
it just vindicated her. Oh, this is bad. Somebody get Lindsay on the line.
Well, she supported Weinstein.
Is that right?
She did a little video. I'm like, oh, to forget her. She just whacked out.
So maybe she
Yes.
was. Oh, go ahead. I'm not going to speculate on Lindsay Lohan. God, no.
I want to start by thanking
there's
Harvey Weinstein.
There's an interview with Morgan Freeman, I think, and
Hi, Harvey.
I think
I don't know what you got yourself
he was
into.
saying
Things I
that
do for you.
we should lock Hillary Clinton up. That would restore trust in our government. And like the reason why Donald Trump was elected.
And then at the end, you said to me, Harv, let's go out. And we went to Boogie's.
I think
in
that's
Aspen. We ate cheeseburgers.
Even locking
Morgan-
Hillary
and
Clinton up
then-
wouldn't restore trust in our government.
Morgan
I mean,
Freeman
it
said that?
might be a start, but it's not going to fix anything.
It would go a long way. I'm just saying. I mean, people are demanding a head on a plate right now. You know, like people are pissed.
Well, some are demanding a head on a plate, some are demanding a head on a pike.
Oh yeah, I mean, and who better than Hillary Clinton? She's got her fingers in every pot in the government and in the private sector. So it's like she's a perfect person, for us to go down. But for them, she's the worst person to arrest because she's got ties to everybody. And if she goes down, you think that she's gonna be like no snitching? Oh, she's gonna rat everybody out. Look what she's doing right now.
I agree with that.
Every single person.
She's got blackmail on so many people.
Ever since that she lost that primary, you look at all these people that keep losing their seat in media, Roger Ailes, all these, Bill O'Reilly, all these sexual allegations started coming out after Donald Trump won, and so it's like you're taking down every single person that if Hillary Clinton's sitting there and she's looking at anybody she can blame besides herself. She's blamed media, she's blamed Russia, she's blamed all these people. So it's like she's going to take down the media people. She's going to take down the people in government that, burned her, didn't support her, and even in the private sector,
it's being used across Facebook and Instagram. As we're hearing stories, not just there.
I suspect.
I can't stand that cunt.
Sure.
Thank you.
Go
She's
ahead.
the biggest fucking cunt ever.
I suspect that sometimes things are delayed a little bit, just until contingencies are put in place. In the case of Hillary Clinton, if she were to be arrested, they would first have to have a national stockpile of muscle relaxant, because when these muscles are too tight for too long, your teeth dry up and you have problems.
So you're saying the population would have to be anesthetized.
Hey, Dom.
Once Clinton got put in prison, because we'd all be smiling way, way too much.
Yes.
I would
They
have
might
a
actually
fucking
turn into a
giant
national holiday.
And we could
I would
probably turn
celebrate it
that
every
day
year.
into a national holiday. Yes.
It
We
would be our
can make it
national
into a
holiday.
national. Yes, make it into a national holiday. We can capitalize upon it.
What's on your mind, Dominic?
We can make millions. We can capitalize off of Hillary Clinton's tragedy, but profit it for real justice.
It only seems fair. She's profiteered off everybody else's misery.
Dominic, go ahead.
I just dropped in, trying out my new headphones.
Hi, Dominic.
Hi, Dominic.
Can you hear me okay?
We can.
And you know,
Can hear you great.
And Bill and Hillary profited off of pedophilia too. From Haiti.
Yeah.
They were selling
Well,
off
that's
children.
pedophilia, organ theft, charity fraud theft. What else is it? There's like 4 other things in there too.
So that's child trafficking then out of Haiti.
They can get her on the money.
Wow.
Longtime donor of the Clinton Foundation and the Clintons is Harvey Weinstein.
Correct. Yeah.
Boom, he'll be fucking taken down too.
And then
I mean,
Schumer,
you look
Podesta,
at-
all these guys hanging around together, man. Just it's like a big cult of fucking pedofuckers.
I think that's the thing that
Like a cult of culture.
That's what kind of like the outing of the Hollywood elitist pedophile ring, because you can see the ties in the political arena where it could tie into Pizzagate.
Yeah.
And,
there could I wouldn't be surprised there's going to be some connections made. I'm just waiting for fucking Julian Assange to throw out a couple more emails and some information. I'm almost certain something's happening.
Speaking of Julian Assange,
Well, he did put out the if you remember back on Julian Assange, or was it Julian Assange Twitter feed or WikiLeaks Twitter feed, one or the other, but he did put the FBI references that pizza symbol that was originally there is a pedophile symbol. Yeah. The FBI has recognized that for decades as that.
He did, which was squashed immediately.
all right. Do we want to keep on this topic, or do we want to go on to a little lighter topic? Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe something a little less depressing.
Yeah.
Something a
Are
little
we going
less.
to the weather?
Yeah, I love
the weather's
weather.
been pretty depressing lately.
For where?
Oh, speaking of which, it's finally cold. It's finally chilly in Florida. Thank goodness.
Finally
It snowed
here
up where
too.
Snorkel.
My God, I'm wearing a shirt. It sucks.
All All right.
I'd have to
Well,
report
my
for
weather's
Michigan
been
this time of year. It's actually rather warm.
So James, go ahead and click on the category 4.
I already got it taken care of, mister.
All right, you're good.
Gotcha, brother. Gotcha.
I was behind.
Well, my weather's been crazy here in Philly. We cold now, but then Thursday and Friday Thursday we're gonna be in the 70s, and then Friday 72, and then we're going back down in the 60s.
That sounds like nice weather. Sure.
Huh?
That sounds like nice weather.
It's horrible. I'd rather for it to stay cold. It's supposed to be cold.
Yeah, there's a big storm passing through Massachusetts. I didn't think it was that big, but 315,000 plus are without power in Massachusetts.
Damn.
That's why I warned you when I saw that coming a few days ago.
Yeah, I looked at the weather report and I was like, nah, it doesn't seem that big. But it was pretty big, I guess. Not where I was, but like in other parts of Massachusetts.
Well, 3 days
Yet
ago.
another reason. Oh, yet another reason for a decentralized grid.
Yeah, 3 days ago it was hard to see exactly where it was going to fall.
And so my wife's family in Omaha was saying it was snowing there. And is it snowing where you are, Snort?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Seems pretty early.
Oh, cool. Snow.
In October.
We used to get snow in October. But usually Halloween would be snowless. And then November we get hit heavy. Not anymore.
They used to back in the day have snow in October in Alaska. No longer.
So is this normal cycle of climate, or is this, do you think?
Maybe it gets hotter every year in Florida.
No, it's.
I could tell you for damn sure.
Well, we do have constant cycles of fluctuation up and down.
Right.
We do have that.
For me, what I would like to understand more would be how El Nino affects some of this, because it seems like I heard within the last couple months about somehow El Nino this year making things worse.
La Nina. La Nina. There's two of them. There's two of them.
There's two of them, yeah.
One of them's with the water is too warm. One if it's too cold.
So is this year Nina as opposed to Nino?
This is a transition year.
So this could be even more complicated.
More complicated. The problem is that the organization that needs to be tracking this and analyzing it has a problem keeping its people, not because they want to quit, but because they are managed by people who feel that anything they present would be against their beliefs. So they basically, if you're good at the field, they fire you.
So
yeah, because they don't want accurate data. They want lies and falsehoods.
That organization is which one? NOAA?
NOAA.
Yeah.
They had a administrator put in charge of them that doesn't believe in weather.
What the fuck?
I mean, when you really think about it, it's not that. I mean, for some people, I guess it's kind of hard to put in context, but it's like total energy on the planet. You know what I mean? That's I don't know. People don't think about it that way.
I think we really overcomplicate it. You know, it's like, you know, we sit there and we say like, oh, it's just too complicated for like the normal person to understand. And these people are way more intelligent than we are. They've had the schooling, you know, these are big wigs. They know what they're doing, right? You know, what do we know? And it's just like, they probably know less than us. Not because, you know, they can't, but because they're paid so much
I would
to
agree
not
with that.
know it. I mean, just they're no different than any coal miner around here. You know, they want to deny climate science because they want to go and mine coal because that's what their job depends on. Well, these people, their job depends on denying, you know, science and just being absolute idiots. So what do? They're idiots.
Idiots for a day? Are you saying that they'll change their coat in 4 years or in 8 years, depending on how long Trump is in office?
The problem was way back to the Bush era. When Clinton left office, the Bush people put in people like this, not to the level of a Trump appointment, but he put in all kinds of fundamentalists that did not believe in science in charge of all types of science-based departments and organizations. When Obama came into office, he decided to have a kumbaya moment and said, we're not going to replace any of them with competent people. We're going to keep the Bush people there as a friendliness gift to the Republicans.
Bipartisan gesture, Snort?
Yes. So
that's not bipartisan. That's literally establishing more criminal organization.
Oh, no doubt, Kevin. It's hacks. They're hacks.
Fucking Obama.
They're all in on it together.
Obama sold it as bipartisanship.
Bullshit.
We didn't have that correction for that cycle. But then when Trump came into office, he decided that they weren't bad enough, and he put even more. Like putting Betty DeVos in charge of education. You can't name a department that he didn't put somebody that was inept in charge of.
Inept, incompetent, literally conflict of interest, and just literally every form of corruption you can think of, basically.
Rick Perry in charge of the Department of Energy.
Yeah. Little did he know that primarily ascertains to nuclear plants.
Nuclear plants.
People in there that,
that's just fucking a joke. Oh my God.
No, and I've seen my sister do this, right? So if you don't want to do a job anymore, you do a really crappy job at it. My sister, she hated doing housework. So, she would do a really terrible job at the dishes or mopping the floors. And guess what? Mom quit asking her to do it. So that's where we're at with our government. You want something to end? Put an idiot in charge of it. They'll run it in the ground.
Wow. Or like education.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Or Social Security or healthcare.
It actually makes
anything
sense.
that helps us, basically,
Yeah,
like
anything that helps build a functioning society and communities, basically.
Because they could say, hey, we're going to cut funding to it because it's not working. We're going to put that funding into something that does work, like our military.
And again, that would be a win-win situation, because if they've got ineptitude in place and the government is running, badly, it also fuels the fire to maybe make government smaller, privatize things. It's a win-win situation for the people that are dicking.
I'd like to add one thing, like the making government smaller thing isn't a horrible idea. It's just we need to make it smaller in the right areas. They just want to cut out anything half decent and just, like, okay, 17 security organizations. Yeah, we can make those smaller and get rid of a lot of them. Military? We can make that smaller and get rid of a lot of it. Maybe healthcare? No, let's not make that smaller. Education? Let's not make that smaller. You know what I mean? It's like they use the word like, okay, because everybody knows we have a bloated government. They just want to cut. They want to use let's make government smaller and get rid of bureaucracy. They want to use the slogan to just get rid of anything half decent.
No, that's a great point, because while they're cutting back on government, I see this here a lot. They want to cut back, they defund, and going back to Ebon's points, like, that's what they do. If they can't outright get rid of it, they'll just defund it, and that's the kiss to death. So
that's what they try to do with block grants.
They just defunded it, so now it's harder for women in my state to run or to get the issues out. So they love to defund stuff, but on your point, it's like, that's what they do. They're siphoning. It's that cannibalism of our government and capitalism and stuff. It's like, you want to grow the military industrial complex, or you want to grow these other, how about we cut back on the NSA? How about we cut back on the CIA and FBI and all these different, whatever, anagram that you have, acronym. So it's like, those are the ones that we need to shrink, but we end up shrinking the ones that are the most important to us, like education and stuff. So yeah, that's exactly what they do, Kev.
If I could go back to
and they're cutting. They cut Meals on Wheels. they're cutting. I feel sorry for single mothers, especially in the black community. They're taking out that the child credit and the taxes, and a lot of people don't know this is going on. When that hits them at their front door, I don't know what's going to happen.
Wasn't that child credit thing originally Bush? Didn't he use that as a way to give a tax cut?
No Child Left Behind.
No, not the educational program. That's just that's complete trash.
No, but I was always getting that when I was working before Bush even got in office. I was getting that a child credit. But
I wasn't sure about the specifics of that.
Tax cuts. He also one of the later tax cuts gave everybody was like $400 per kid extra is what it was, and everybody's like, oh whoa, or it might have been everybody. I feel like everybody got something.
Yeah, they did something where he sent out some check that everybody got like $100 or something like that.
Oh! I remember that. On average, it was the higher percentage got a tax cut of $954,000 or $957,000, something like that. Just an outrageous amount tax cut. While everybody else in the country got like $400.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, at least he gave something when the banks crashed under Obama. He didn't give a shit.
Well, that under Bush wasn't really giving us anything. That's like the bait and switch to make you think you got something while he uses that excuse to cut other programs. So technically, you're net behind.
Yeah,
I think good job bringing up this point. Kudos to people bringing up this point about the crappy like Secretary of Energy and crappy these setbacks, these blows to like good programs. Because I mean, we should really focus on that a lot more. They're like bipartisan issues, and how like in Congress, like certain bills that contain like other things that get snuck in. Like it's a bill, and then they sneak in all these other things. It's like the whole Republican Party is a thing where they're sneaking in these awful things about like cuts to food stamps or cuts to Medicaid. I don't know. I mean,
those are referred to as rider bills.
Believing that stuff that like it's a welfare state and whatever, and that it's just evil, and it makes people not have an issue to work, but it's total baloney and brainwashing and
it's exactly backwards, honestly, because technically we do have a welfare state, but it's for large banks and multinational corporations, and that's who's getting welfare.
There's so much distraction, so much emotion and everything, so I feel like sometimes these things kind of get snuck in. It's like, oh well, we'll tolerate not voting in our interest in these massive ways, and tolerate all this to happen, and it's almost like out of spite as well, because they're just spiteful towards the Democrats, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's both ways.
I think that's kind of false. They aren't spiteful. They just put up a show. I mean, it's just those two parties pointing the finger at each other. That way they can keep fucking everyone while they get away and rob everybody.
Hey, you guys, I have a question related to the topic. Now, I'm not sure if this has any basis in reality, but it's always something I kind of thought of. I realize that we're super tiny on the face of the earth, and, we don't take up much of the mass of the earth, or for that matter, we don't compare. I don't think biomass compares with the volume of the atmosphere. But has anybody ever investigated the possibility of kinetic pollution? We've got so many things moving around so fast all over the earth that I wonder if it's having any kind of effect.
Yes, it is. There are multiple types of pollution. What he means by kinetic pollution is two different effects. One, mass is changing. On a rotating object, as you move mass in and outside toward the center, you change the rotational speed of the object. It's a conservation of momentum.
Yeah.
You can think of it like the merry-go-round thing, what kids spin around on. That's a good example to put it in context for people.
Ice skater or ballet, when they pull their arms in.
Fold their arms in, then they spin faster, right?
Yeah.
Ballet or ice skating, figure skating, or like skydiving. Or
So that's a type of pollution. We're so far from even getting people to take the easiest ones like gum wrappers. that getting these other types of pollution, carbon dioxide, we still have an argument that so many people are saying, no, that can't be real. But yes, the kinetic is a very real, especially if we start using mass drivers to launch things into space. And to save money, we start launching west to east. We cannot do that with large amounts of mass for a large amount of time without having some counter for that, or we are going to start messing up the length of our day. In fact, just
we're going to start slowing down or speeding up.
Just an earthquake happened in Bande at Aceh, caused a change in our rotational speed. So rotational is one. Another one is thermal pollution. We haven't even started on this one yet. With thermal pollution, the Earth can cool at a certain rate, and it picks up energy from the outside world, from the universe at a certain rate. It also generates its own heat. A lot of people aren't aware that the radioactive decay in the Earth is responsible for a majority of the heat on the planet. So what we really have a problem is we don't even have a word for it. Let me pull a Stephen Colbert and call it cult. We have a problem with everything getting warm faster than what we can have things cool off.
I thought it was called geothermal. Snark.
Well, geothermal, but everything that you're talking about is this.
And also, we've had that thermal energy converted into a chemical form, and now we're releasing it, like oil, gas, and coal.
A lot of this is new energy as more radioactive material in the planet decays. Majority of our satellites that use nuclear power use a radioisotope decay, where they, like, let's take Voyager, that's a very popular one. It had a plutonium isotope in it that didn't run steam generators or anything. It just produced heat. And then
I believe it used a CBEC unit to function.
That would be a correct, not exactly a CBEC as you might be thinking, but it would have used a CBEC-like device. And the term for that is radioisotope thermal decay generator, just RTG. So we have to be thinking about when we do use energy, what do we do with the heat? With coal burning, for every watt of electricity that you produce, you're used to thinking of the pollution in terms of the amount of particulate that comes up the smokestack. But for every watt of electricity you produce 3 extra watts of heat into the atmosphere. For nuclear power has almost the same ratio, except it also has the addition of its radioactive waste produces a lot of heat for years to come as we've radiated it into a less stable material that is going to keep on producing heat. That's why that's why the expended fuel pools have to be cooled for so many years. So, well,
it is a possibility. We could also use the excess heat bleeding off of coal plants and nuclear plants to take that heat and convert it chemically.
To use energy, we have to be between hot and cold.
No, I mean, use the energy, use the waste, what would typically be waste energy, and use that heat energy to convert a chemical fuel.
Yeah, okay. But what I'm getting at is we've been looking at the particulate, we've been looking at the chemicals, and up till this time, nobody's ever looked at the amount of heat these things produce. Solar panels, what waste do they produce? Well, they have the same footprint as coal and nuclear. Mm-hmm. Well, not quite nuclear. Nuclear has that extra one. But for every watt of electricity that a solar panel creates, photovoltaic,
producing X heat,
because they're dark. Yep. Put your hand over one, and
they're toasty.
Yeah, you feel this heat coming out.
Those things can get like 185 degrees.
So we don't want to just say that we can use as much electricity as we want to put photovoltaic cells out there. At some point, we're going to have to say that when we use energy, when we convert light to energy, when we do any of this stuff, we create heat pollution, thermal pollution. Now, there is a technology coming up that has 1/9 the thermal pollution of solar panels. It's going to be a long time before people even view thermal pollution as a problem. It's viewed as so rare a problem that you see all the coal stacks, all of the nuclear, venting all their steam to the atmosphere. It's like, well, but we have a limited amount of coal.
What's the new technology, please?
And we're because cold is just the opposite of heat. But it's getting, and all of these energy usages, it's always related between the amount of maximum heat you have and the minimum heat, and that energy between them is what gives you the force to do work. So as we get tougher and tougher to make or to dump the heat into the cold,
our generators are going to get less and less efficient.
Right. Not only that, but humans, plants, animals, and many things have a window of existence of heat-wise they can get into. Now, we've gone in with mores. You see the shirt? There was countries, island nations and stuff like that, many centuries ago, didn't develop clothing because they didn't need it. Their areas were nice, but we think of it as they didn't need it. Many of them are so hot that they couldn't wear clothing. And that was never brought up. But we went into these areas and we made them start wearing clothing and giving them mental issues that they must wear clothing like the Westerners to be real people. But instead, now we're getting to the point where we're moving into temperatures where the human body is no longer compatible with the clothing that our mores have put on us. Again, it's back to the heat pollution. Do we add more air conditioning, which means we use more electricity, which means we bring up the heat of the planet, which is a form of kinetic. The molecules bouncing around more.
It's heat.
Yep.
Okay, so
all heat is vibration.
So, but what I'm saying is that we need to be thinking about sometimes saying, well, do we really need to have business people wearing 3-piece jackets and air conditioning the room to 70 degrees?
I know.
Well, this brings up a couple other questions. Like, number one, it's true, right, that the Earth's magnetic shield is decaying, or at least going into a state of flux where we're not sure, like, what it's going to do. Like, is that true?
It's always been moving.
True north and all of that, but is it?
We also have stronger and weaker areas.
In the period where the poles switch, make a dramatic shift. Okay, there's a period where one of the fields kind of takes over the other one, right? One of them weakens and one of them kind of moves in on the other one, kind of like two waves crashing into each other, and one goes over the top.
You're talking when it flips.
Is that a good analogy?
In
any case, if that is the case, if we're having problems with the magnetic field, could that affect our weather? And number two, the excess heat that you're talking about, if we develop the right systems, could we sink it into the mantle?
You got to think that magnetic barrier. That's why the reason that we have the Van Halen belt. It's I'm pretty sure
the Van Allen belt.
I don't remember that. It's something
Van Halen's a good one. You'll remember it that way.
Whatever. It's a radiation belt. It's that right on the outer edge of our magnetic field.
It's close enough. It does shield us from some electrical stuff, but I'm no expert in that. And but
what about sinking heat into the mantle?
The problem is that energy doesn't like to be pumped from low to high, and the mantle gets hot. We're thinking of sinking heat into the mantle. After you go down a little ways,
it would cool.
Starts getting hot.
Yeah.
And
hell, you don't even have to. You go down 15, 20 feet, and you're at a constant 60, about 60 or 7, or no, closer to 50, 60 area.
So what you're saying is,
the people go down in coal mines do not wear parkas.
Yeah, those things get hot.
So what?
I think the hottest reported coal mine that people were actually going in was like 160 or something like that.
So what you're saying is we would end up cooling that portion of the mantle. Because
no, we'd add more heat to it, but it's just difficult to pump heat downwards into hot areas. It's like trying to push a low grade heat into a higher grade heat. It's not too easy. You need a higher grade heat to push it in.
Yeah, it's people think of going down as getting colder. That's only true for parts of the ocean.
Yeah, I'm aware that as we go down, I just wonder if, the mantle would be able to absorb that heat, regardless of its temperature.
It might be able to absorb a portion of it.
Okay, these are threats that are down the road. I mean, they're affecting certain things. It's a domino effect. I understand that.
It's about weather,
but
dude.
The biggest, of course, but the biggest thing right now is the depletion of the ozone layer, which is causing rays to bounce and stay in our atmosphere, causing a greenhouse effect. Right? And that's getting worse at an exponential rate. Am I correct to assume that? Or
exponential would be good.
Yeah. I'm just saying it's but it's not getting
not
better.
Good, but it's accurate.
Yeah, but it's not. But it's just not getting better. So is that more of the immediate? I mean, what's the immediate threat? Is I think that, right? And all the causes that bring that, which is of course carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide. Carbon.
Instead of inventing solutions, it's better to maybe avoid the causes.
Yeah, we do need to rethink everything we do.
Well,
like I said, the how we use the energy, we just gotta get around this idea that we just can't pump more. Can't pump more.
Yeah.
Can't more. Well, we can pump more. It's should we pump more?
If we addressed this problem like 70 years ago, we wouldn't even be dealing with this. We'd already be on the tail end of things improving.
Oh, our kids are going to be swearing at us for the next
generations. Yeah,
how we've handled this.
They'll be cursing at us. I fucking know it. I just fuck.
To innovate in that kind of way. Like, so for the last 7 years, if we would be like, if that would have been the mark to hit, is to do things in the best way, to do things in the most environmentally sure and in a careful way, and that was the curb, or like the pushing the envelope, and the cutting edge was always going in that direction. But I feel like, when you can punish the air and the water, and it seems like you can do so infinitely, there's just such an abundance of air or water or whatever, ozone or whatever it is, and can just kind of get away with not noticing it right away. I guess that's the problem, and then it's going to catch up though with us and things.
Yep, it's going to come back to bite us in the ass.
It's not going to take infinite punishment.
So, Snork, are you familiar with some of the more far out there theories regarding HARP and some of these other things?
I am.
Okay, well, why don't you give us your estimation on them? Because we're all hearing them all the time.
We actually had a conversation on this about a month or two ago.
Was I there?
Yes.
Okay. HARP was for looking for cavities in the earth. It boiled the atmosphere to make a virtual mirror up at the top of the ionosphere, and so it made this great big parabola that you could use to make an artificial mirror for tuning around the world, which is why I believe that we've always known that where the caves were in Afghanistan. That much information was publicly released. I'm not giving any kind of secrets away because I don't have any. But the conspiracy theorists like to believe it's some kind of weather changing system. Well, I can see moving charges about as possibly making some some
You
weather
could
change.
possibly do something with it. I mean, if you can boil the atmosphere, all weather really is the movement of heat.
Yeah, you change a little bit here and there. I'm not saying there won't be some effect, but I don't believe it was the original emphasis of the project.
It wasn't the intention of it.
There are other things. Well, sometimes other things are much more plausible and feasible, and I would go for them first rather than going for the let's use the elfing as some way of changing the weather when we know it's fast and easier to just go up and seed the clouds with several different chemicals.
Now, how would you estimate the environmental impact of these devices?
A HARP?
Would you say they are severe? Well, there's HARP and there's several.
Are you talking about the massive amount of power being dumped into them and the waste from the generators powering them? Are you talking about that, or are you just talking about the environmental impact of the actual device and what it does?
Just the environmental impact of one of these arrays on a local area.
On a local area, I'm not sure there's that much. I really am not an expert in it to be able to tell you. But at the distance it's applied and the height, it might not be any worse than the Aurora. Again, I'm not an expert. I would love to hear an expert talk about it.
It's interesting. I was watching a documentary about Tesla the other night, and they were talking about the space that lies in between a couple of layers.
Tesla, the company, or the Nikola Tesla?
Nikola Tesla.
All right.
And about how, he was planning on using this space in the fields or whatever to transmit electricity basically everywhere. And it was an interesting documentary. And it was related to some of this HARP stuff that I was looking into.
You do know,
the
I mean, they've done experiments.
It's pretty high.
You do know they've done experiments where they ran like a 15 long mile wire and they've generated about 15,000 volts off it, just off the magnetic field on the Earth.
I've never heard of that specific experiment now.
Hey, can we talk about the Manafort indictment?
I think it's
we might as well switch it to the topic then, because that's one of today's mainstream media narratives.
Yeah, and if James is shutting us down 27 minutes,
and you see he was indicted for other charges besides colluding with Russia.
We've got about 25 minutes, so that'll wrap it up, and we'll have gotten through all the topics.
Yeah,
and possibly somebody else could, like Eric, if he wanted to, could start up a thing if they wanted to carry on or something.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Like how the mainstream media sucks balls.
Yeah, this was
Just
a great idea, though,
discussion, general discussion sort of stuff.
Who came up with this idea for this list?
Not a bad idea.
The
not
list
horrible.
on the side there, was it you, James? It was a good idea.
I didn't create the list, but I do like the format and moving things along, because sometimes what would happen is we'll talk about a certain topic and then somebody will come in not sure and just change things. Okay? But it's good, because sometimes we linger on things a little too long. We should get out. We need to get out.
We all have our pet topics and stuff, and I could just keep talking about Nikola Tesla.
One suggestion to the tab thing: we may want to place that across the bottom, like horizontally, just so that the chat bar on YouTube shows clearly. Just an idea.
The way it looks, let me see. Yeah, we're just testing it out, guys.
Because it's not bad. Test. It's not bad. Yeah.
Well, James has more space, but I had to configure it a little bit. But there's more space that the chat could be on, and we can always resize the topics a little bit smaller.
Yeah, we can have tabs. Yeah, we're just playing around with it. But thank you
guys
for your cooperation. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really digging the new layout and the way we're doing it, because I know that we've talked about editing down the shows to maybe certain topics. So if any of us are going to edit it, it makes it a lot easier to see, where the topics start and end.
Oh,
Especially
sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, especially when we're getting to like the major points. I mean, look, the only reason why this is happening the way we're putting this together, this is my perspective, is because you guys have some great information to bring to the table that needs to be shared. But instead of doing it within a 7-hour span when we go on different tangents, it's kind of good that we can just kind of get this out and then get to anything goes later. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes those tangents end up going very deep into detail, though.
They do.
Yeah, sometimes they wander off into nothing too. So it's good that we keep it moving.
Also true.
So we should talk about Manafort.
Yeah, when a topic comes up, I can just see your brains and your file monkeys, not mine, they're not working all the time, just move quick. And you guys got stuff that's just ready to go. I see it, I hear it, happens all the time. So I like the format. I didn't create the topics, by the way, but they were good topics for conversation. And then we'll have some more on the next show. But
yeah, and when we come across a good topic, nobody says we have to keep going. We can just table it for the next time.
Yeah, we can also, exactly. You can put a pin in it for next time.
And then everybody else has a chance to maybe go take a look and get some background. So whatever being talked about isn't a surprise to people.
Right. So as Cheryl was saying, so let's go into the mainstream media stuff.
And sometimes as time goes on, there's more information that comes out.
Right.
I want to.
And what is the Tony Podesta resigned from his company because he's being investigated now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little unnerved about everything that's going on. I mean, we saw this the last time, with the Red Scare or whatever. So, what they did was, it seems ridiculous now, but, they were throwing people in jail. I mean, these were people and no, I'm not talking about Manafort or Podesta or any of them. I'm talking about like people from around here that were, running as communists or that they were in the Communist Party. They were thrown in jail. And, a lot of people's lives got upended, regular people. And I'm not talking about, these assholes that are higher up, so it will trickle down to people like us. And we will be labeled communists. And it's that, first they came for the Jews. And, it's one of those things. Right now they're coming for, people up on the list, but it's going to come for us. That's the whole thing. We are the people that they want to get to. These other people, they don't really want to prosecute those people because they're buddies, We're the ones they're after.
How do you know all the all the problem individuals in the media and professorships and things haven't already been weeded out? How do we know that ever stopped? Like, honestly, in my opinion,
did anyone ever read the Powell memorandum I suggested for people to read?
Well, let Ben finish, and then you can go on.
Somebody was saying something similar to that, which is just like about all the good ones are gone and stuff. I forgot what it was about.
Well, the Powell memorandum ascertains exactly to what Ben's saying.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate on that, Kevin?
Basically, it was the plan to get rid of any sort of differing viewpoints. Basically, it was replacing college professors, infiltrating political parties. It was the whole 9 yard. It also tied. Well, it's not directly tied into the COINTELPRO, but it's a similar sort of thing. It's basically causing division, causing disunity, causing getting communities to be dysfunctional and fighting themselves.
Every little thing matters, like what textbooks they choose and stuff, what textbooks they choose. I don't mean to get off the topic that's set down right here, but
I agree with that. A large chunk of our textbooks come from Texas, and how they are about education.
Having their ability to be for something that's not popular or not some like the peer pressure like of the times is pretty strong, especially on the left. Like, oh, you gotta be with us or you're against us, and you're like terrible. You're with Trump or you're with the. Essentially, it's like in early 2000s when it was like, if you're not with the troops, you're for the terrorists, or or something like that. There's a lot of hyperbole.
Yep. Anti-war is anti-soldier. Police brutality is now anti-American flag or something. It's like they conflate the issue and they always, switch it to something else. It's never about, the actual issue that they're trying to bring attention to.
How about how they're trying to do a patriotism class? How they're trying to inject that into social sciences. It's basically an indoctrination program for college kids.
Oh,
I don't know. Maybe if our country was a little bit
don't
better,
get me wrong; those colleges aren't perfect.
I'm just saying, maybe if our
what
country
form
was
of patriotic?
we actually want to, be patriotic.
Karen,
Maybe we
stop
love our
talking.
country. Maybe we'd be willing to die for our country if our country was willing to do the same for us. Maybe we wouldn't need classes like that. Just saying.
Hey, Kevin, that was a perfect time to butt in and say something when there's a pause.
I was just saying it's like I know the colleges have problems. I mean, if you looked at some of these, there are some literal like social justice classes, and if you look into them, they're some of them are actually a decent way, and then some of them are like, oh, go out into the streets with all these idiots and chant like morons and try to ridicule people to get your way.
Yeah, I don't like that kind of shit. That to me is like completely fucking retarded.
It's like a 5-year-old throwing a hissy fit.
Well,
I'm triggered.
Some of the strongest arguments against tenure come from this. You get people with specific. Now, I think tenure is a good thing. Don't get me wrong, but there are problems with it, and this is one of them. You get like some ideologues who've been living in a self-contained bubble for decades. And they come up with these ideas, these crazy ideas, and they give them to the students, and they force them on the students in many cases.
It's like a cult.
Maybe y'all can elaborate more on this, but I don't really understand the point of tenure. I mean, isn't it one of those things? It's like once you've taught there so long, you can't be fired.
Yeah, that's basically
I don't
it.
understand that. I mean, if you're screwing up, you should be fired. But
Well,
I understand what to protect teachers.
Ironically, it's there to protect diversity of opinion, and like it's the way it's set up, it's having the opposite effect.
Well, like with plate tectonics, tenure protected the professor that came up with the idea of plate tectonics, which was not popular in during the McCarthy era. Plate tectonics taught that there was plates that the earth moved on, it was causing the earthquakes and whatever. Whereas during the McCarthy era, they wanted a return to more religiously caused earthquakes.
God causes the earthquakes. He's only been doing it for 6,000 years, though.
Tenure protected that professor while he was trying to get his new ideas out, and gave him a chance to be able to present them without getting squelched. And that happens in a lot of different fields, where people that have a new view that turns over the current thought don't get stepped on with tenure. Without it, the conservative status quo would just crush them every time.
See, now that's the good side of tenure. The bad side of tenure is when a teacher sexually harasses a student, and then for the rest of their life, they're sitting in a room, literally designed just for them, just doing paperwork.
Well, it's and it doesn't even have to be a crime. Again, like when these people get caught in these ideological bubbles, I mean, they just remove themselves from the real world.
Tenure doesn't usually protect against criminal actions. So what happens if somebody's being protected for a criminal reason?
Oh no, they went through the criminal thing. They just didn't lose their job.
That is more the university trying to minimize
protect itself.
How bad it was, so that they don't get drugged through the papers longer by having a countersuit or anything like that.
Well, if he didn't do anything, then why did you fire him? Like, you don't want that argument coming up in court. So yeah, I mean, tenure has its good sides and its bad sides. As far as its effect on our current culture, I mean, we see the bad sides every day, and that's why I even see a lot of reasonable people argue against tenure. But there has to be a way that we can, extract the bad and keep the good.
Dominique,
before it gets too late, I'd like to mention what I've been noticing on in media today. Like we're aware that everything that happened is by design. They have a narrative, they plan it, they deliver it, and the people swallow it. And I really see a concerted effort now to really downplay this uranium one and that dossier collusion. If you look on Twitter, every place you see, you got that video with Joy Reid where she talks over that woman and doesn't let her make a point, but she makes a bunch of Hillary's talking points. And I've seen that tweeted by, had to be 6 blue checks, okay? I always retweet it with a little comment. But then I saw Lemon on, I was watching Hard Bastard tonight. He did that thing with Lemon, how they're all trying to downplay it like it's old news, and it had the group of 3 guys on there, and it's just old news. It's no big deal. We're just doing it to distract from Trump. I just think we just have to be aware of that and make other people aware of that it's really not to be downtraded. This is really serious what she did. And as far as the uranium, it's so hypocritical what she did with the dossier that, she should be held accountable for that.
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, the argument a lot of these people are making is, this is just oppositional research. And, for some reason, they excuse it when it comes to Hillary, and they don't excuse it when it comes to Trump. And the only difference I can see is that Hillary paid an intermediary, whereas Trump Jr. just went there.
There's another difference there, though, a big difference. The intermediary that Hillary paid Russian officials, Russian government officials. Trump never paid any Russian government. He never paid anybody as I can see, or what they've shown. So there's a big difference there, because what Hillary did is actual collusion. She colluded with the British guy. That's a foreign agent. She colluded, and he colluded with Russia. They're foreign agents of foreign governments. She's guilty of collusion. Trump's not guilty of collusion.
So are you talking about Christopher? Is it confirmed that Christopher Steele paid for some of this information, or are you talking about someone else?
No, I'm talking about Christopher Steele. Somebody paid for it. It cost him $12 million.
Well, yeah. I mean, we know that, of course, like, they're just not going to give away information. But is there a record? Is there a proven transaction? Is there a record of it, or?
I don't know if there's a record. I heard, and I'd have to look it up. It's a good point, but I'm pretty sure that they paid Russian officials for that information. Okay, if Russian officials received money, even if Steele received money, if they paid Steele's a foreign agent. Okay, they paid a foreign agent to undermine a political candidate of this country to influence our elections, which we do that all the time. So that's really not, it's not nothing that we don't do. Look at Obama with Brexit. But in any event, she did the real collusion. Trump didn't do it. I'm not a Trump fan. Don't get me wrong, but this is just, it pisses me off the way they're spinning this. That the deep state has this thing going where they got it down good, and people have to be aware that there's a big manipulation going on.
Well, let me get the timeline straight. Didn't this all happen after he already won?
Right, but the fact of the matter is,
so wasn't a candidate; it was president-elect.
No, it didn't happen.
No, it started before he won.
That's right.
Huh.
That started back. That was in 2016. Supposedly a Republican candidate started it, and then the DNC took it over, and the FBI might have even given him some money.
I hadn't heard anything about it until after he won. Then I heard all this stuff.
Well, it came out then because she was trying to show that they were trying to establish the narrative that the Russians influenced the election, and the way they influenced it was because they had that video of Trump that they were blackmailing with, because they wanted him to get in so that he could do their bidding. So that was the narrative that she used to start this whole ball rolling, and the media helped her do it. I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't planned, and she didn't leak it because it was so inaccurate. She didn't leak it. They leaked it to BuzzFeed to leak it. BuzzFeed published it with all kind of disclaimers that the information isn't verified. So why would they even publish that? But it went out, then the whole narrative got started, picked up. Now all of a sudden, now they're saying that parts of the dossier are true. What parts? The does and the bits? I don't know.
Well, Dom, you're absolutely right about your point about a foreign agent. Oh, he's from Great Britain. I mean, it seems like people are like, oh, he's a British agent, so that makes it okay. I mean, no, this dude's a foreign agent. And in fact, he's an ex-intelligence officer who has worked for a variety of clients since leaving British intelligence. So who knows what factors are influencing him or pressuring him beyond what we do know about him just straight up getting paid to do work. I mean, she hired a foreign agent. DNC hired a foreign agent. That's extremely disturbing. I think we should discount pretty much everything in the dossier, regardless of whether it is, pro-Hillary or anti-Trump or whatever, until we get like some clear evidence.
But the thing is, what Manafort was indicted for, it had nothing to do with collusion to affect the election.
That's why Podesta went down too, I think, Cheryl, because he was in on that, wasn't he? With that.
Manafort worked with Podesta Group.
So and what they were doing, they were laundering money. They were getting all this money, and they said they were paying a legal firm to do stuff, but they were funneling the money. Well, no, that was the other thing. That was Hillary. That Hillary funneled the money through a legal firm. She didn't even list that as a campaign thing. She listed that as legal expenses. So, but she was supposed to, from what I understand, list that as research. Okay, and that's how she got around that. But Manafort and Podesta, I guess they had a bunch of contracts going, and they were just funneling money, not paying taxes on it.
Well, they act like
these.
Go ahead, Shirley.
And what was I going to say? Oh God, I lost my thought. And Go ahead. Is that Garden was going to talk?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Shirley. I messed you up, didn't I?
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, you didn't mess me up. I just lost my train of thought. Now I'll get it back. Go ahead.
But this stuff about Steele, it's nothing new. Like, we knew since day one that this guy was like some kind of paid agent. The questions of his integrity popped up immediately, and not just from right-wing trolls and alt-right trolls. I mean, just looking at him, like, you could see. There's, I don't know if we should trust this guy to swing a damn election, based on the evidence this guy provides. And I remember outlets defending him, and now he's come back up in the news again. It's ridiculous.
Sounds like honestly, Christopher Steele sounds like a porn star name. Don't you really think about it that way?
like a spy novel name, Christopher Steele.
It sounds like, here's the one thing. It does sound like, the sex sells. I mean, that's the way I actually do observe it. It's weird and odd, but it's like sex sells.
I mean,
But my thing is criminals going against criminals, because Mueller was involved with Hillary Clinton with that uranium deal.
Well, I think Mueller's the one that kind of squashed the informant, wasn't he?
Yeah, Obama did.
Well,
and
Obama,
then he's
but I
able
think-
to testify. Yeah, so Trump allowed him to testify in front of Congress of what he was talking about.
I think that's why they're trying to do as much damage control as they can now, because I think that's going to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
This whole Christopher Steele thing just reminds me of a Watch the Monkey game, the damn shell game. They keep bringing him up and dragging him out in order to mess with people. Just like more going on here, obviously.
And this is a waste of taxpayer dollars.
Exactly.
This should go to health care, go to free college tuition.
You can go to the
Oh my
site.
God.
And it's all because the oligarchs didn't get what they wanted. They didn't get what they wanted. They're risking World War III because they didn't get Hillary as their puppet.
And now they act like a bunch of fucking whiny, spoiled little fucking ungrateful brats. I mean, they have enough fucking money as enough as it is already. I mean, honestly, those are some real ungrateful motherfuckers.
Well, on that note,
if you go back,
looks like James is getting ready to wrap it up.
I mean, if you go back and look at Trump's inauguration and when Hillary showed up, you could see in her eyes, she's sitting there and she's just like, you're going down and you're going down. She's just sitting there smiling and her eyes are like fucking crazy, man. Like you could just see it.
She's a crazy cunt.
And it's happened now. I mean, she's not in jail. All these other people are getting prosecuted. It's like this bitch keeps winning. Like,
not
when is
bitch,
it gonna
cunt.
stop?
Big time.
He's not winning anymore, Stevie. She's on the downward spiral now.
I hope you're right.
It might be a slow spiral, but she's on the downward end of it.
Well, you know, what they
She's
say is like when
under
you see
so
the most
many She's under so many investigations right now in Congress. It's not funny.
She's
AJ
like,
reporting on that.
Poor me,
like,
poor Hillary.
Yeah, I mean, none of these charges have ever stuck to her. As many times as the Clintons have been drugged in front of a court and asked questions and stuff, nothing's ever stuck to them. Why? I mean, we've got overwhelming. Who is it that's supposed to be doing this shit? I mean, we have overwhelming evidence, at least for investigations, at least, you know, for you know, to put her in jail, you know, but yet the people that are in charge of doing that are dropping the ball.
Well, there's more evidence against her than there is against Trump.
Exactly.
For sure.
But guys, it's not her fault.
It's her fault. It's her fucking
I
fault.
agree with Evan and Justice Democrats.
It's her fucking fault.
Have you guys? Are you
It's her
familiar
fault.
with the Justice
It's her fault.
Democrats platform?
What was that?
Let's take another 20 minutes so I can explain it to you. James will be okay with that, right?
No. We have to remember the slogan. It's all on her.
It is all on her. It's her it's that cunt's fault. She's the biggest cunt on the face of this world. Honestly, she's the only woman that actually deserves to be called a cunt. Beyond a cunt.
Agree.
Thank you, Shirley.
All right, guys.
In the world.
Have a good night.
Bye, everybody. Love you all. Have a good one. You guys take care. And one more thing.
Good
Hillary
night.
is a cunt. No matter what, she's the biggest cunt. Cunty Clinton.
Are you gonna do your famous sign out message?
Yeah, I'd like to do a little something if you guys don't mind. Thank you guys for coming on.
Fine.
Sorry it was late. Eben and I were just kind of
okay.
setting stuff up.
That's okay. Better late than ever, though.
Hey, are you gonna turn your stuff on, or are you gonna go on, or just for a couple hours?
I think I'm gonna go stream a video game.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, I'll be on earlier.
Since it's
I'll be on
Halloween.
earlier tomorrow night because Eben and I spent about an hour and a half, probably longer than we should have, But tomorrow night I'll be on about, definitely at 8. I want to try to get it to about 7:30, honestly, because to have people from the East Coast on that have importance, or that, people do things, work, all this stuff, they got kids and all this, like I do. So I'm going to try to get it on earlier, so that there'll be more time for people to come on as well.
That's okay. You could always take your time and no rush.
Okay, man. You're awesome.
That's I'm very laid back nowadays.
You are. Until we start talking about the C word.
Trigger! The cunt, yes.
Cheryl,
Cunty
thank you for
cunt.
coming on. Love you. Take care.
I just love. It's my
Love
favorite.
you, James.
Love you guys.
Eric.
Love you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
You guys take care.
Bye.
And one more thing. Hillary Clinton is the biggest cunt.
This is already known.
And I'll keep saying it.
That seems to be the general consensus.
And it'll be a good thing because
she just needs to go away. Her and Harvey Weinstein used to go out and
the White Cosby.
Yeah. All right, aloha.
Yeah, just call him White Cosby. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, hey, might as well call him White Cosby.
There's a lot of them out there, dude. That's the topic tonight. We were talking about that, but anyway, I'm going to sign off, guys. Pretty soon, so I got to do my sign off.
Okay, have a good one. Take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Cheryl, for coming on. You're always a wonderful person to have on here. And well, the things are looking good.
Thank
We'll
you.
get it out there. Hey, by the way, we have about 160 likes from a show, a Friday show. 160 views, and that's a lot for, so we're gaining ground. There are more people watching. You guys, if you can, share it with the world, please, everybody. Screw them.
Will do.
And just slam it with us. Just slam them all with what we got to say, and somebody will start to catch on.
Will do.
All right, aloha.
Aloha. Have a good one. Take care.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Am I doing it right?
Yeah, you're doing it right, bro. Just gotta, when you go to Hawaii, go like this, Eric. When you go to Hawaii, just go, sup, bro? Sup, brother?
What's up, bro? What's up, bro? Hey.
Okay,
like
bye.
on South Park. They actually... Bye.
Bye, Cheryl.
Bye.
Love ya. Bye. Okay, so we covered a lot of things tonight. We have the new format. I thought that was just epic for Eben Kim, EBON space KIM, to put this together for us, which he's done since, I think, April of this year. And it's been running strong for a long time. And we're all very appreciative of his computer tech and software skills that he brings to the table, which helps to keep this show and other shows similar to this that Eric has, Christian has. Tech, I believe, will have one. I know Red needs to do a couple soon, Red in Economics. Also, Kelly has hers as well. But Monotalk is just a little different. It's more the testing thing. We use this to get out the word. Like I said, we are a group of people that are not, we're not well, actually we do have, I think, a rocket scientist with us, but most of us have been following politics for quite some time. Some of us, like me, not long enough. There are people out there like H.A. Goodman, Sane Progressive, Humanist Report, the list, Jamal, Tim Black, Soapbox, Jamal's with the Progressive Soapbox, and there's Zune Politics, she's doing a great job of a lot of information that's coming out from these independent sources that I think are just huge and important for all of us. So I can't thank them enough for inspiring all of us to do what we do now. And that is to, I know it's a general brush and a huge stroke, but we're actually, if we have the right people in office and if we have the right people leading our country and others, the goal is to save this planet, slow down its death, and, hope that our children and their children and so forth have some nice places to play and frolic and move around in a world that's still inhabitable, and that all the inhabitants of this planet have a better chance of surviving. Anyway, thank you all for coming on tonight. And it was just really great to go over these topics. The Alabama bans crossover voting, which we all believe was just another way to suppress votes and scare the hell out of people. Spain and Catalonia, which most of us aren't even following, because I mean, sadly, and I know Julian Assange is really all over this, and maybe he has family there, or he just really cares about a lot of things, and that's what people don't really get about Julian Assange, is I think he's very similar to a lot of us. He actually and genuinely cares about the planet and all of its people and everybody on it and all the inhabitants. And we hurt and we feel the pain out there for a lot of people, for the ocean, the air, the atmosphere, the water, the rivers, the oceans, everything. We feel that pain, and we're trying to bring awareness to it, ideas, suggestions, perspective, try to summarize it as much as possible. And then Hollywood, fuck, and Pizzagate and all that shit, man, it's just pedophilia. Jesus, come on, people. I mean, that is just, it's such a travesty that there aren't, as Stevie was saying, as a few others were saying, as Tech, that there aren't systems and processes involved for prevention, for therapy, for ways of getting people to do other things instead of having this tyrannical, narcissistic, control freak like mentality that's what their life is about. And that's not what life is about. Life isn't about controlling other people, controlling living creatures. It's about existing and enjoying being here. I mean, for one, you just need to appreciate you're here. For one, first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is there is a morning for you to wake up to. And you say, you know what, I'm going to have a fucking good day today because I woke up this morning and I'm here. And appreciate that. And then share that appreciation and share that joy instead of pain. Joy and pain. Pump it up, pump it up, pump it up. Sunshine and rain. But anyway, don't get me started on that stupid shit. Just let's try to get some systems and processes along to get that taken care of, and go after these psychos in Hollywood, and go after these politicians and those connected in politics that are within that ring of pedophilia and abuse against women and other people, men and women. The weather, shit. We can talk about climate change forever, which we should always bring that up, because Fukushima is still in a terrible and sad situation, with 400 tons of water, radiant water, being spilled into the oceans constantly. And then today's mainstream media, which we should always come up with, and what's going on, of all their hyperbole and their lies and their junk and their bullshit that just keeps vomiting out of their mouths. Papadopoulos or whatever that is, the new scapegoat for the DNC, and it's just another distraction. And most of us that have been following it closely and connecting the dots, we know. Most of us know. But there's so many out there that are still listening. They're sheeple everywhere. And that's the sad thing about it, because the two-party oligarchy / deep state / shadow government, whatever you want to call them. Look at what's coming out with the JFK release and all that information. That's, most of it's redacted, but there's enough information to indicate that it's just so much bullshit that's been happening that's even instigated by our own government. The CIA. Jimmy Dore just all over the CIA all the time. I am just surprised as hell as that guy is not wearing a bulletproof vest and a fucking helmet and in an armored car parading around, because he's just after them a lot, which not many people do. So you got to give that guy props for for just calling it out. He's like, you know what, fuck this. I'm going to challenge the status quo. I'm going after it. Unlike some people that have, in my opinion, kind of quivered and shrank. And I'm not going to say Bernie Sanders. But anyway, there's a lot to go. There's a lot to talk about. I just know that our message needs to get out. Maybe one day in the future, one day there'll be a time when we can look back and go, you know what? We started this conversation and people carried it on. And it got to the point where people actually started to pay attention. And people started to understand all over the world that there has to be some unity. There has to be some peace. There has to be some empathy. There has to be a way that we can all kind of evolve instead of de-evolving like these two parties in the United States are making us do, or directing us toward. So the evolution of our species depends on how we treat each other, and the factual knowledge and the truth that we bring to each other is hugely important. All right, but anyway, so I want to say thank you all for coming on. I hope you guys like the new format. I fucking think it's pretty awesome. Again, I didn't make the topics, but it was good. We'll have some others in the future. I wanted to say mahalo nui aloha, which means thank you very much, and aloha to all of you. So I'm going to stop the stream. Take care, everybody. Be good to each other. All right. Remember to say hi to somebody. Give them a compliment.